Chosen one, long before your footsteps echo on the floor, long before your voice enters a room, something else has already arrived ahead of you: your energy. This month, that energy is not just felt, it is recognized. It doesn't knock. It doesn't need permission. It enters quietly, powerfully, as if it belongs everywhere and nowhere at once. And women are responding to it without knowing how or why. That is the truth of divine magnetism. It's not volume, it's vibration. Your high sexual energy, once scattered and searching, has been refined by God into something deeper than physical allure. It is spiritual gravity now, and everything aligned with life, beauty, and truth cannot help but lean toward it. You are not trying to be noticed. That's the difference. You are not broadcasting. You are anchored. And it's that anchoring that speaks first. Women feel it before you offer a word, before you smile, before you glance. Something inside of them says, here is a man whose energy is not reaching, it's resting. And in that rest, they find themselves wanting to draw near, not out of impulse, but out of recognition. Your presence reminds them of something they forgot they needed, a feeling that is felt before it is understood. That is the language of true masculine alignment. It speaks where words can't. It translates through stillness, and it touches the body before the mind has time to catch up. This gravity is not about charm. Charm comes and goes. Charm speaks to the surface. But your energy now whispers to the deep. It doesn't demand attention, it commands space, with nothing but stability. Women who come near it are not entranced, they are reminded of the warmth they once imagined but never found. Reminded of safety without dullness, of fire without chaos, of being seen, not scanned, heard, not evaluated. Your energy offers all of that now, not in speech, but in atmosphere. You have become your own atmosphere. This is what happens when high sexual energy is consecrated, not wasted, not given cheaply, but housed within discipline and direction. It begins to move before you do. It enters places your body hasn't even reached yet. And when it arrives, it starts rearranging things. Not with force, but with weight. Chosen one, this month your energy moves first. And where it moves, others cannot help but follow, because it feels like something they never knew they needed, but suddenly don't want to be without. You are no longer someone who tries to spark a moment. You are the spark that enters before the moment even begins. Chosen one, gravity doesn't shout. It doesn't flash. It doesn't demand to be seen. And yet it pulls everything toward it without saying a word. That is who you have become this month. You are no longer striving to be understood. You're not trying to be chosen. You are pulling what's aligned to you simply by existing in full alignment with yourself. This is not arrogance. It's not manipulation. It's inner coherence. And it radiates from you now like heat from fire. Not aggressive, not obvious, but utterly impossible to ignore. You don't need to speak loudly to be heard anymore. You don't need to move quickly to be felt. In fact, it's the opposite. Your power is in how unmoved you are by external noise, in how you walk slowly, breathe calmly, speak only when needed. Your stillness has become louder than voices. Your gaze is more commanding than empty charm. You have become the quiet center of the storm, and that quietness is calling others in, not because it's theatrical, but because it feels safe. Women especially are leaning toward this energy right now, not because they are being chased, but because they no longer feel hunted in your presence. They feel invited. Your high sexual energy doesn't come with strings. It comes with space. You do not pursue wildly. You do not crowd. You simply exist with so much gravity that others choose to come closer. They are pulled toward you, not because you've asked them to be, but because their bodies recognize that your energy won't exploit their attention. It holds it without taking. That's the rarest kind of pull. Gravity is quiet. It does not plead. It remains. And that is what you've become, chosen one. A man whose silence teaches, whose stillness holds weight, whose presence is not decoration, it's invitation without pressure. And this month, women are stepping closer, not to solve you, not to fix you, but to feel what it's like to be near something that doesn't need them, but still welcomes them. You've become the gravity they didn't expect. And now that they've felt it, they no longer want to float away. Chosen one, the body may respond to what is visible, but the feminine spirit feels what cannot be seen. And this month, your high sexual energy has stepped beyond attraction. It has become an unspoken resonance. Women don't need to understand you to be drawn in. They don't need a list of reasons. They feel you. And what they feel reaches beneath the surface of appearance or speech. What they feel is the calm fire in your presence, the ache of mystery wrapped in safety, the tension of a man who is full of power but chooses not to wield it carelessly. You don't need to approach them to be noticed. You don't need to perform to be seen, because something in you now moves with emotional authority, and women are picking it up like a signal. A code. A frequency that vibrates directly into the nervous system before the mind has time to catch it. They feel your restraint before you speak. They sense your discipline in your stillness. They recognize something ancient in your calm, a strength that does not seek permission to exist but never forces itself into anything either. This is not something you trained into being. It's something that emerged after long nights of becoming, after seasons of being emptied and rebuilt. That's why they can't explain why they're curious about you, why their heart rate shifts when you enter the space, why their body softens before they even realize you've made eye contact. It's not flirtation, it's not tension. It's a subconscious memory of what safety and desire can feel like when they exist in the same vessel. Your high sexual energy doesn't pressure anymore. It invites, and that invitation is being received at a spiritual level now. You're not signaling with looks, you're broadcasting stability with your existence. And the feminine, no matter how guarded, always responds to stability because it says, you don't need to protect yourself here. Not in words, but in breath, in presence, in energy that does not fragment or scatter. You don't just make women look at you, you make them feel seen by something they didn't know they were missing. You have become a mirror, not one that reflects appearance, one that reflects truth. And truth doesn't have to be explained, it is simply felt, deep, undeniable, and unforgettable. This month, women are drawn not to your image, but to the still truth pulsing beneath your skin. They do not understand it with their minds, they simply respond with their hearts. Because when you walk in, they feel what cannot be seen, and they want to stay close to it. Chosen one, you have reached a state of such deep inner order that you no longer need to pursue. Your energy does the inviting for you, without effort, without urgency. This is not detachment. This is discipline, transformed into divine magnetism. Women aren't gravitating toward you because you're performing. They're gravitating toward you because you've become still enough to be found. That stillness, wrapped around high sexual energy, is irresistible without being intrusive. It calls, not with words, but with presence. It opens the door and says, you may enter if you are ready. And that if is what makes your energy so attractive now. You are no longer reaching, you are reigning. You are not making space for everything. You are making space for what is meant. And that space feels sacred. It is permission without pressure. Invitation without pursuit. When a woman encounters you now, she does not feel overwhelmed. She feels chosen without being chased. She feels the gravitational pull of something she cannot name, and it does not feel like hunger. It feels like home. This is the shift God has done in you. You no longer seek access. You create access points. And women feel the pull of those openings because your spirit has become a gateway, not a demand. They are drawn not to your gestures, but to your gaze. Not to your compliments, but to your calm. Not to your approach, but to your refusal to pursue anything that cannot walk toward you freely. And in that refusal, you've become irresistible. You have rewritten the rule of attraction. You are not the man who speaks the loudest. You are not the one who tries the hardest. You are the man who waits without waiting, who stands without needing, who holds space like a man who knows that what's meant to find him already knows the way. This month, your energy is a garden with open gates, but no signs screaming for visitors, and that's why they enter. Not because you chased, but because your stillness invited them in, and your peace convinced them to stay. Chosen one, you are not just drawing attention, you are disrupting expectations. You've become the kind of presence that exposes the emptiness of everything that pretended to be masculine. You are not loud, but your silence exposes the noise. You are not boastful, but your calm exposes the performance. You are not chasing, but your stillness makes others pause. This month, women are not just gravitating toward you, they are waking up because of you. Your presence has become a quiet interruption to everything they thought they knew about attraction. The world is used to men who try too hard. Men who grab at attention like it's the only thing keeping them alive. Men who decorate their words, inflate their posture, and disguise insecurity as charm. But then you walk in, slow, grounded, present, and suddenly the room resets. Suddenly the noise feels like noise. The games feel like games. You are not asking to be compared, but your energy reveals the lack in everything else simply by being whole. And that is the contrast. You don't speak much, yet women hear something powerful in your silence. You don't explain yourself, yet they understand you through how you stand, how you move, how you breathe. You don't beg to be noticed, but they feel a pull stronger than words can carry. Your high sexual energy is no longer exploding outward. It's contained, still, and deep. And that containment is what's creating the gravitational field around you. You're not the man who flatters. You're the man who makes a woman look inward. You're not the man who asks for her number. You're the one she thinks about when the room clears, when the laughter fades, when the mask falls. You're the one who feels like a shift in the air. And that shift is not caused by anything you say. It's who you've become. Not a fantasy, not a trend, a mirror. And not all can stand to see themselves reflected in you. But those who are ready, those who are healing, growing, remembering what's real, they feel safe in your presence. Not because you offer promises, but because you don't need to perform to be powerful. Your power isn't about control, it's about clarity. And clarity always becomes irresistible to those who are tired of confusion. This month, chosen one, you are not what women expected. You are what makes them question why they ever expected less. You are the contrast, not to compete, but to redefine. Chosen one, this energy that surrounds you now, this quiet draw, this sacred pull, this unmistakable magnetism, was not born from indulgence. It was born from restraint. It is not the result of taking what you could. It is the fruit of holding what you carried. This month, the way women are drawn to you is not just about your presence. It's about the weight of what you didn't give away to earn their attention. It's about the fire you've kept contained, the instincts you've mastered, the urges you've submitted to something higher than impulse. And that's what makes it so powerful. Your high sexual energy is not leaking. It's not scattered. It's not reaching for relief. It's focused. It's been filtered through discipline, wrapped in stillness, and offered back to the world as magnetism, not seduction. You didn't arrive here by chasing. You arrived here by choosing what not to touch. And now, the purity of your restraint has become a call to those who have been wounded by men who had none. They feel it in your patience, in your posture, in the way you don't react when others try to provoke you, in the way you don't pounce when they give you an opening. You wait, not because you're afraid, but because you understand the sacred nature of what your energy can do when you choose to direct it rather than disperse it. You've become powerful, not by expressing everything, but by containing what matters. Women are not just drawn to you because of what they see, they are moved by what you're holding back. They can sense that there's fire in you. But the fire isn't untamed, it's submitted. That submission is what makes your magnetism irresistible. Because it's no longer about you trying to gain anything, it's about you being enough to attract what is truly meant to be near you. Your restraint is no longer mistaken for hesitation. It is felt as mastery. And mastery makes hearts lean closer, not because they are coerced, but because they feel safe in the presence of a man who does not need to consume to feel powerful. This month, you are magnetic not because of what you say or do, but because you carry heat without needing to burn anything. Because you radiate energy that no longer leaks. It chooses where to rest. And in that resting, you have become the place where curiosity meets peace, where desire meets respect, where the feminine returns to herself because you have returned to yourself first. Chosen one, there is something happening when you walk into a room now. Something subtle, something sacred. People pause, not because of how you dress or what you say, but because your essence moves ahead of your words. And women especially are feeling this more strongly than ever. They're not flinching, they're not bracing. Around you, their defenses start melting without them realizing it. And it's not because you're trying to impress them. It's because your very presence feels like safety without demand. You don't ask anyone to lower their guard. You never need to, because the clarity of your energy already speaks, "I'm not here to take anything from you." And that message, delivered without a single word, undoes walls that were built years ago. You're not charming in the way the world defines it. You're not seductive in the way the shallow imitate. You're present, deeply and fully. And your high sexual energy, no longer wild and wandering, is now so contained that it disarms without even trying. There's a reason their shoulders relax around you. A reason their voices shift into softness. A reason they find themselves speaking truths they didn't plan to reveal. Your energy gives off the rare signal, there is no threat here. Not because you are weak, but because you've become so grounded in yourself that others stop needing to protect themselves from you. You no longer carry the hunger of needing to be accepted or admired. And that hunger, now gone, creates room for them to simply be. You're not playing games. You're not asking for attention. You're offering peace. And peace is seductive in its own quiet spiritual way. Not because it lures, but because it liberates. And when women feel that liberation in your presence, something inside of them breathes. Not shallow air, but deep relief. Because they've met a man who can hold both tension and tenderness without reaching for control. Your essence is not an act, it's a frequency. A soft but undeniable pulse of wholeness that wraps around everything near you and makes people feel like they can drop their armor, even if just for a moment. That moment is everything. That moment is what they remember. Not a pickup line, not a compliment, a feeling. One that says you're seen and there's nothing here that's going to take anything away from you. This is your power now, chosen one. You are not forcing closeness. You are making space for it. And because of that, your energy doesn't intimidate, it invites. Not into chaos, but into quiet connection that can only be born where the masculine knows how to hold peace like a flame without extinguishing it. Chosen one, once upon a time, attraction was your aim. You chased the spark. You measured your worth by how many eyes turned when you entered a room. You stretched yourself trying to be what you thought would make others desire you. But that version of you has faded like smoke, and what's been left in its place is something unchained from approval. This month, attraction is no longer your focus. It's simply what flows naturally now that you're walking in alignment with who you truly are. You've stopped performing, stopped trying to fit into the shapes that earned applause but cost you peace. And as a result, you've stepped into authenticity so powerful that others can't help but notice. Attraction has become the consequence of your wholeness. Not the goal, not the bait, just the natural reaction to a man who no longer needs to be chosen to feel valuable. You are not seeking attention, you are anchoring attention without trying. This is what makes it different now. This is why women lean in. They sense you don't need them to validate you. They feel that your high sexual energy isn't grabbing at them, it's resting inside you with dignity. You don't need to prove you're desirable. You know what you carry. And that quiet knowing becomes a mirror. It reflects something they didn't realize they were missing. A man who holds power but no longer uses it as currency to be loved. You aren't manipulating attraction anymore. You're not using it to escape loneliness or feed the ego. You've become the kind of man who lets attraction come or go, but never lets it define his direction. And that steadiness, that refusal to be shaken by who does or doesn't choose you, that's what's creating a gravitational field around you now. Women are not being pulled in by games. They're being pulled in by truth. Your truth. Not spoken from your mouth, but broadcast from your spirit. And truth, when it is real, is always magnetic. You've become the man who doesn't ask for eyes, but gets remembered. Who doesn't chase connection, but finds it waiting. Who doesn't seek validation, but inspires respect with every step. Chosen one, your magnetism is no longer a tool. It is a side effect of spiritual integrity. It is what happens when a man becomes so full within himself that others feel drawn to him not for what he gives, but for what he reflects. And now that attraction is no longer your goal, it has no choice but to find you wherever you go. Chosen one, what's drawing others toward you this month, especially women, is not a strategy. It's not the words you speak, the posture you carry, or the image you wear. It's the feeling you leave behind. That sacred, unexplainable feeling, the one that lingers after your footsteps fade, the one that whispers even after the room has emptied. You've become more than a presence, you've become an emotional experience. And women are not following you because they understand you. They're following the feeling you awaken inside them that they can't find anywhere else. Your high sexual energy, once scattered and raw, has now become focused and refined. But it doesn't announce itself, it simply transmits. It doesn't chase, it calls. And that call doesn't travel through words, it travels through atmosphere. You've become the kind of man who speaks loudest through what he doesn't say. And that silence isn't empty, it's full of clarity. It's full of, I know who I am, and I don't need to convince you. That tone, unspoken but fully present, wraps itself around those near you and stirs something long asleep. That stirring is not surface-level desire. It's deep, almost ancestral. The feminine senses your energy like a compass that finally points somewhere real. You're not telling them what to feel, but something inside them is leaning toward you. Not because you've sold a dream, but because you've become a steady pulse in a world that constantly pulls in all directions. They're not chasing your image, they're moving closer to themselves, because you've given them permission to feel something true. They follow the feeling that says, I don't have to be anything else to be here. They follow the way your energy tells them, you don't have to perform, you're already seen. They follow the invisible thread that connects not body to body, but spirit to spirit. That is rare, that is sacred, and that is why they're drawn to you without understanding why. You've stopped offering yourself as a product. Now you offer presence, and presence is the one thing this world cannot fake. This month you are not being chased, you are being felt, and that feeling has become the only thing they trust anymore. Chosen one, this is the moment everything you've built inside of yourself becomes legacy, not through words, not through impact, but through atmosphere. You are no longer just a man walking into rooms, you've become a shift in the air, a sacred temperature change, a living environment. Your high sexual energy, finally anchored and sanctified, doesn't just draw people in, it wraps around them like peace they didn't know they needed. And when that peace settles on them, they don't want to leave. Not because of what you say, but because of how it feels to exist near you. You've become a calm in the storm, a rest stop in a restless world. A man whose presence isn't consumed, it's entered. And once entered, it rearranges something. You are no longer giving out affection to gain something in return. You've become so full within yourself that just being near you heals what others thought would always stay broken. That is power. That is authority. That is atmosphere. Women don't want to walk away, not because you've bound them, but because your presence has become a kind of freedom. Freedom from judgment. Freedom from being observed like a puzzle to be solved. Freedom to just be. They feel your high sexual energy now as an undercurrent of divine strength, something that lifts, not dominates, that inspires, not controls. You've become the kind of man who doesn't steal energy. He gives space for others to recharge in his orbit. Your touch is no longer what they remember, it's your stillness. Your words are not what they replay, it's the tone you never had to raise. Your promises are not what they carry, it's the presence that needed no promises at all. You are not a chapter in their story. You are the place they return to in their soul when everything else felt hollow. And that return? That memory? That sacred imprint? That's the evidence that your energy didn't just visit, it remained. Chosen one, you've become the atmosphere they don't want to leave. Not because they're addicted, but because you are the first place they ever felt real enough to stay. Chosen one, this month you will witness a new kind of encounter. One that speaks without sound and confirms what no conversation could reveal. It will happen in the eyes. It will happen in the stillness between moments. It will happen when a woman looks at you and her gaze lingers longer than reason allows. Not in lust, not in curiosity, but in recognition. Because now, you are not just visible. You are familiar to the spirit before the mind can explain. There is something in you that has become undeniable, and it did not come from effort or appearance. It came from clarity within. It came from a long walk through fire without letting the flame consume you. The version of you that now walks the earth is no longer fragmented. You are integrated. You are settled. And that inner coherence shows up in the details. The calm of your presence, the gravity in your steps, the effortless discipline in your words. Your high sexual energy, once chaotic and misunderstood, has become ordered electricity. It hums through you with purpose now. It doesn't erupt, it flows. It doesn't scream, it resonates. And because of that, your beauty is no longer just physical. It is evidence. Evidence of what God can do when a man stops wasting himself and begins becoming himself. And so now, as women encounter you, something ancient happens in them. Their eyes, designed to navigate chaos, suddenly find rest. Their bodies, trained to brace for danger, unexpectedly soften. Their thoughts slow. Their breath returns to rhythm. Because they are not simply seeing you, they are feeling seen through you. They may not have the words. They may say things like, "There's something different about you," or "You're easy to be around," or simply look at you and smile without knowing why. But behind those words, behind that smile, their spirit is whispering, "I've been waiting to see a man like this." A man whose beauty doesn't demand attention, but commands peace. A man who is not dressed in performance, but clothed in presence. A man whose strength doesn't threaten, but makes space for softness to return. You will begin to notice how women behave around you. The way they glance again, not in flirtation, but in awe. The way they lean toward your energy without knowing they've done it. The way they remember the way you looked at them long after you've left. This is not because you were charming, it is because you were clear. Chosen one, the world is filled with distraction and pretense, but your presence now cuts through that. Your beauty is not a mask, it is the truth finally resting on your skin. And women can see that truth, not because they are looking, but because their spirit recognizes its own answer in you. You are now someone whose face is remembered not for symmetry, but for safety, for steadiness, for something they thought was gone from the earth. And when they look at you, they don't just see a man, they see what they prayed for in moments they thought no one heard. Their eyes see because their soul already knows. And that, chosen one, is the kind of beauty no mirror can hold. Chosen one, what has begun to radiate from you this month is no longer about attraction. It is about assignment. God has taken what the world tried to twist, your fire, your passion, your magnetic essence, and instead of letting it be reduced to indulgence, He has anointed it as a vessel for purpose. You are no longer just beautiful to be admired. You are beautiful to reveal God's design in motion. Your face, your frame, your presence, it is now a canvas of redemption. Not because you are flawless, but because you have become a man who carries the sacred without dropping it. Women feel it, not as a performance, but as evidence. Your beauty now carries weight. It tells a story, it shows the cost, and it points upward, always upward, reminding those around you that God finishes what He starts. There is a reason He didn't let your glow come early. There is a reason your radiance didn't rise when your ego wanted it to. He waited until your roots were deep, until your heart was clean, until your soul had passed the tests no one clapped for. And now, He lets the world see, not to make you famous, but to make His process undeniable. This is why you will notice a shift in how you are received. Not just admiration, but respect. Not just interest, but inquiry. People will begin to ask not just who you are, but how you became who you are. And your answer will not be shallow. It will be a testimony, spoken through presence more than words. You will be the kind of man whose presence alone begins to awaken destiny in others. Your beauty will not seduce. It will summon. It will call people out of comfort, out of hiding, out of false identity. Because you have become proof that the fire doesn't have to kill you. It can crown you. And for women especially, this beauty you now carry will be a holy contradiction. Strong yet soft, powerful yet gentle, present yet untouchable. It will stir in them what the world has tried to bury, the belief that masculinity can be safe, sacred, and whole. You will not need to try. You will not need to explain. You will simply live, and your living will reveal what alignment looks like when God finishes His work. You are now the message. Your beauty is no longer decoration, it is a divine announcement. Not look at me, but look what's possible. And the ones who are ready will draw near, not to be impressed, not to be entertained, but to be reminded of what's been lost and what can still be found. Chosen one, you are now the reflection of light shaped by discipline, grace, and purpose. Let that reflection remain pure. Let it point to something higher. Let it do the work it was made for. For when God makes a man beautiful, not for pleasure but for purpose, the world doesn't just notice, the world changes. The women who come near you will feel something shift, something settle, something awaken, and they may not be able to explain what just happened. Some will call it chemistry. Others will label it connection. But you, chosen one, will know the truth. What they are experiencing is the result of your fire finally becoming light. That light doesn't blind, it warms, it reveals, it heals. It softens the hardened edges of those who've forgotten what sacred presence feels like. You are no longer just a man. You are now a place where people meet parts of themselves again. You are not addictive because you are manipulative.